Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a pretty in-depth step-by-step makeup tutorial. I want to share my little tips and little techniques that I use to create a really fresh, natural face, but that's still pretty glamorous and defined and beautiful, but still keeping it, you know, somewhat natural, because that's really how I like my makeup to look. I really hope that you guys find this video helpful, and let's get started. So I've already moisturized my skin using the Embryolisse face cream. This is also a really great makeup primer. It makes your makeup go on really smooth. You really want to make sure that your skin is prepped before you do your makeup, that it's cleansed and moisturized. It just makes the makeup go on so much better. It makes it look nicer and stay for longer. The foundation I'm going to use is this one by Marc Jacobs. This is the Remarkable foundation and my shade is Golden Medium. So what I do is just open it up like this. Then I just take this little concealer brush and I get some of the foundation off of here and I apply it onto my skin. You only really need a tiny amount of this foundation because it is super pigmented, and I like to work on like the bottom half of my face first and then I move on to the top, just so that it doesn't have time to like dry and set. Then I'm going to take my beauty blender. You want to make sure that it's quite damp, not that it's like dripping water, but that it's pretty damp to the touch. And I'm just going to start by dotting and like pushing that foundation into the skin and blending it out. I try to avoid dragging this product. I really want to just like bounce it all over my skin. It really does such a good job of distributing the product and letting it like get into the skin but really look very natural. I also go over my mouth and like cover my lips at this point with the foundation as well. I will be taking that off afterwards. And you can see with just like the tiniest amount of that foundation that it has so much coverage and so much pigmentation, and it's really light on the skin. It's definitely like such an interesting foundation. And also make sure to get my jawline just so that there's no like harsh edges of the foundation, just so that everything is really nice and blended. Oh, now I'm just going to take a little bit more and I'm going to place that on my forehead, a little bit under my brows, and then anywhere else where I need just a little bit more coverage. And then I'm just going to take my beauty blender again and blend that out. I prefer to have a really thin layer of liquid foundation, and then I go back with concealer to correct any areas that need more coverage. I prefer to do that than to put on like 2 full layers of foundation. I just think it looks more natural and soft on the skin. So I'm going to take my Nars concealer in the shade Biscuit, and I'm just going to place that on any areas that I feel need a little bit more coverage. This color is very close to my actual skin tone, and it has a really nice, very slight orange undertone to it, so it does a really good job of canceling out any darkness. So when I use it under my eyes, I only put it where I have the dark areas. I don't like bring it down or anything with this particular color. This is only for neutralizing and correcting any blemishes or anything that I have on my skin. And then I also just take some around my mouth. And again, with my beauty blender, I'm just going to blend that in. So I don't do this next step all the time, but it is nice sometimes if you want to go for like a really, you know, glam look. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal in Beautiful Bronze, and I'm just going to bring that down my cheekbone and kind of like making it a little bit feathered out towards the inner part of the face, and then also kind of bringing it up into a bit of this like triangle kind of shape, just to kind of mimic the natural shadow that would be here naturally. And then I'm also just going to run a little bit around my hairline like that, and then I'm just taking my beauty blender and blending that in. So next I'm going to brighten up my under eye area, and I'm going to use the Nars concealer in the shade Custard. And again, I'm just going to take that on a concealer brush, and I'm going to place that right underneath my eyes, but also bringing it into the inner corner of my eye, just like that, and then also slightly up onto my nose. And I'm also going to bring some just here at the base of my nose. I like to brighten here as well. So as you can see right here, I brought the concealer quite close into my nose area, and this will just help make the nose look a little bit more slimmer and defined, and it will really bring a lot of light to the center part of your face. And I'm also just going to take a little bit of that concealer and put some on my chin, and also just a tiny bit on my forehead. And then also just take any remains around my mouth area. I'm just going to re-wet my beauty blender a little bit, and this is just the Thermal Spring Water by Avène. It's really nice to just keep handy on your makeup table. So again, just using the pointed side of my beauty blender, I'm going to start to blend that in and just bounce it into the skin. And I also like to take whatever is left over of that concealer just underneath my brows and on top of my lids, just to brighten there as well. Okay, so once that is all on, I set this with a loose setting powder. So I just put in about that much. I don't know if you guys can see that, but quite a generous amount into the cap. And again, I just like to re-wet my beauty blender a little bit just to make sure that it's nice and damp. So I'm just going to pick up quite a lot of that powder on here, like that. Okay, so I picked up a little bit more. Setting your concealer this way is seriously so amazing for helping to prevent crease marks throughout the day. It just does something to your face, and it makes it look really like soft and fresh and just really beautiful. It just makes the concealer look so amazing. So I really love doing this. So I just place that anywhere I put the concealer. Whenever I set my concealer this way and I use a beauty blender, I really find that I don't have to touch up the crease marks underneath my eyes like throughout the whole day. It really looks amazing for so many hours. So if you tend to have problems with creasing underneath the eyes, then definitely give this a try. This also works really great for the little smile lines that you get around your mouth. So I'm going to set that area as well. And then for the rest of my face, I really like to use this Alima Pure Pressed Satin Matte Foundation. I believe that's what it's called. It's a really nice powder. You can even use it by itself without a liquid foundation underneath. So I'm just going to lightly dust that over my skin. And this is a Sonia Kashuk blush brush. It's really soft. I really like this brush. So at this point, I just take off any foundation or concealer that got on my lips. And then I just apply some lip balm and just let that sink into my lips while I do the rest of my makeup. It tastes so good. It's like a vanilla cupcake scented lip balm. It's so nice. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my brows. I'm actually going to zoom you guys a little bit closer. So I've been doing my brows a little bit differently recently. So I first just take the spoolie side and brush through my brows. Then I take my brow powder. This one is also by Anastasia. So I first just take this light brown color, and I'm just going to use this on the inner half of my brows. So I like to create the illusion that my brows are a little bit fuller, of course, but also that they kind of go a little bit more higher up and have a bit more of a stronger arch. So I'm going to show you how I do that. So just taking really small light strokes. So at the highest point of my brow, which is just here, I immediately take it down because I want to kind of, like, I don't want the brows to be really, really long. I want them to kind of have more of this arched shape. So I stop it right there and then I bring it down. And then using the same light brown, I'm going to trace right underneath my brow. And I want this line to be parallel to this line. So again, just taking really light strokes. And just filling in any sparse areas. And then I always like to just brush through them a little bit just to kind of distribute the powder. So before doing the outer portion, I like to just do the front part of the other brow. So again, just taking that lighter shade, I'm going to start by making small strokes right above the brow, and then really lifting that arch of my brow. And then I also bring some underneath the brow because, again, I just want to make sure that this line right here is parallel to this line. And then whatever I have kind of like excess on the brush, I just bring it in the very inner part of the brow, just very lightly. And then for the outer portion of the brow, I take the darker color. I'm just going to put a little bit of that on my brush. And then I use that to just kind of define the tail end of the brow. And just bring it down slightly outside my natural like edge. And then I also just define the like line underneath the arch, just to kind of clean that up and make it look more even. And then I'm just going to brush that through to make it look nice and soft and natural. And I'm just going to do the same thing on the other brow. So those are my brows done. They're not completely perfect and they don't like match each other, you know, amazingly, but this is the best that I can do for my brows, and I really like doing them in this kind of shape. So again, just making the arch go a little bit higher up, using a lighter color in the front portion, using a lighter color in the inner portion and then a darker one on the outer, and just making sure that these two lines right here are parallel to each other. I think those are like my main tips when it comes to brows. So next I'm just going to set them in place, and I'll be using this brow gel by Eyeko. So I really try to scrape off most of the product from the brush before I apply it to my brows, just so that there's just a very little amount. And then I just kind of run that through my brows. For the eyes, I really haven't been wearing shadows a lot. I really just prefer like a neutral eye on me. Just have like a bit of a bronzy like contour shade in my crease, and then like a really nice highlight in the inner corner. So that's what I'm going to do today. So this is the bronzer I've been using recently. It is by Benefit. I just take a tiny amount of that bronzer and then just tap off the excess. So I'm just going to place that very naturally in my crease, and then just use it as a kind of shadow. Like, I don't want it to look like I'm actually wearing eyeshadow. I just want it to be very, very natural. And then I'm going to take my favorite highlighter of all time. This is the KIKO Water Eyeshadow in number 208. It is absolutely beautiful. And I'm just going to put this in the inner corners of my eyes. I love doing a cat wing on my eyes. I just think it looks so beautiful and classic, and it really makes your eyes stand out. So first, I'm just going to make 2 flicks on the outer corners of my eyes. And then I'm just going to go over that really quick with this NYC liner, which has a really nice black matte finish, which I prefer over the shiny finish of the Kat Von D. But the reason I use the Kat Von D first is because I find it much easier to apply like my actual liner with it. This one is a little bit trickier. I'm just applying a little bit more of that gold highlight to the inner half of my lower lash line. And then I'm just going to take a little bit of this darker brown shadow from my eyebrow palette, and I'm just going to run that right below my lower lash line. And this is a Sigma pencil brush. So now I'm going to apply some lashes. These are the Demi Wispies by Ardell. They're really pretty, they're very natural looking, but they give you a lot of like length and volume, and they're just really, really nice on the eyes. I'm just going to trim off the inner portion right here. And I find that like when they're too long, you can really just feel them on your eyes and they're not like really comfortable. But whenever I trim them, they're just a lot better. And whenever you're putting on glue to your lashes, try to really get like the outer corners of them so that like they don't pop off really easily on your eyes. And then I like to just kind of push up the lashes so that they're not like going, you know, straight or anything. So the lashes are now on, and I'm just going to cover the lash band a little bit with some more of the NYC liner. And then just to vamp up the lashes even more, I'm going to apply some mascara. Whenever I do my mascara, I like to really wiggle it at the base and then look down to really get like into the root of the lashes. And I feel like it just makes the lashes look a lot longer and fuller that way. A lot of you guys have actually asked me why I look down when I do my mascara, and I just think it like really helps me to get the most oomph in my lashes that way. And then whatever I have left, I just apply it to my lower lashes. Okay, so my mascara is done, and I did put quite a lot on the lower lashes. I normally don't do that, but I've been doing it recently and I think it looks really nice and like very doll-like. And then the last thing for the eyes, I'm just going to put in a pencil in the waterline. So I'm first just going to take this nude colored eyeliner by Nars, and I'm just going to place that on the inner half of my waterline. And then I'm going to take a black eyeliner and I'm going to put that on the outer half of the waterline. And then I just take a Q-tip and kind of press on where both of the colors meet, just to kind of blend them a little bit so there's no like finish and end to the colors. So that's all I'm going to do for the eyes, and the reason that I put the cream colored liner in the inner half is to make the eyes look a little bit bigger and rounder, and again more like doll-like. But I really don't like how the cream liner looks like all the way in my waterline. I think it looks a little bit unnatural that way, so that's why I put the black just on the outer bit and then kind of just blend them together, and I think it adds like a really nice dimension, and then it also kind of makes it look a little bit smoky at the same time. So now I'm just going to bronze and contour my face a little bit. I'm going to use the Benefit Hoola bronzer and this amazing little brush that comes with it. This brush is so good for contouring. It is very similar to the Eda brush by Nars, which is really expensive, and this brush just comes with the bronzer, so that's really nice. So I just run it in like this. This brush is quite narrow, so it's really nice for contouring and like really getting in your cheekbone. And then the wider side is nice for kind of like blending out and distributing the product. Then I just take the remaining product and run it down the side of my nose. And then I also take a little bit here right underneath my jawline. If you find that you went a little bit too low with your bronzer or your contour, you just take your face powder, and I'm using a Real Techniques contour brush. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that and just clean up like right underneath here, anywhere where I don't really want the like contour or bronzer to be, and it really just cleans it up like so easily. And then for blush, I'm going to use this pink one by Nars in the shade Amour. And I'm just going to give myself a little bit of flush of color on my cheeks. And then for the really fun part, I'm going to go back to my highlight by KIKO, and I'm going to take this brush by Tarte. This is from their holiday collection. I believe this is called just the blush brush. I'm going to take quite a generous amount of this highlight. It is so pretty. It doesn't have a lot of glitter or anything like that. It just really looks illuminated and glowy on your skin. I'm going to take that on my cheekbones. And then also kind of bring it down a little bit on my actual cheek. And then also a little bit right above my brow. So kind of like a nice C shape on the side of my face. And I'm also going to place some on my nose and down the center. And also right here above my lip. And then I'm just going to take my face brush and just kind of run that right over my cheeks just to make sure there's no like lines or anything and that it's all nice and blended and soft looking. I'm so in love with this highlight. I think it just looks so beautiful and just makes your skin look so yummy and like I don't know, I love it. Okay, and then lastly on to lips. So I'm first going to outline my lips with a pinky nude pencil. I like to just slightly overdraw my lips, but I only do it in this like center portion of my mouth. I don't do it right here. If I do it right here, it can look a little bit like clowny, but if I just do it here, it gives me like a really nice pout and it looks really nice. I'm also just going to fill that in a little bit. And I'm just going to put a little bit more of that highlight on because it kind of got a little lost. And then for lips, I'm going to use this one by H&M in the shade Seashell. It is such a pretty nude. I really like applying lipstick with a brush. This is the cream color brush by Sigma. It is the E58. And I just find that it looks a lot more natural and it's just easier to kind of blend it into my lips this way. And then the last thing I like to do is just to set the makeup in place. I really like to use this Caudalie Beauty Elixir water spray thing. I really like to use this as a toner as well, but you can also use it to set your makeup and it just kind of like melts the makeup onto your skin and makes it look more natural and like blended on your face. So that is my makeup done. That's how I've been doing it the last few weeks. I personally love this look. It's really easy to create. It's just really straightforward, flattering makeup that is a little bit more on the glam side, but I still think it looks very natural and glowing and fresh. This type of makeup is really nice if you're going to be photographed, like if you're going to a party or wedding. But then again, I find that it also looks really nice in just daylight, like close up in person because of the way that we applied the foundation using the damp beauty blender. So I'm gonna get really close to show you guys that it really looks very nice, like close up, and it doesn't look like heavy or cakey or anything like that. I find that it looks really natural and just very pretty on the skin. Again, I didn't apply like such a heavy amount of foundation. I kept it very light, and again, blending it in with a damp beauty blender will give you a really nice soft finish on the skin that looks really natural. And then just going back in the areas where you need more coverage with a concealer or even just with a tiny bit more foundation, and then also using a nice light powder to set everything in place. It will allow the makeup to look nice for a really long amount of time, and definitely like baking or setting this under eye area with loose powder is amazing for preventing crease marks, like just buildup of product right underneath your eyes. It's a really great technique to use. And then just that highlight is just like a kiss, like fairy dust on your skin. and it just looks so beautiful. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, maybe picked up on some new tips or techniques or things that you can try out when you're doing your own makeup. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, you can find me on my social media. I am on Instagram and Snapchat, and both of those are at Annie Jaffrey. I hope that you guys are having a really nice day. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Mwah! Bye guys!